Tiffany Henyard's political career is currently engulfed in controversy, following a series of scandals and allegations of misusing taxpayer funds that have cast a long shadow over her tenure. Recently, the FBI visited her residence with a detailed list of alleged corrupt activities, demanding disciplinary files and personnel records for 29 employees from Dalton, as well as contracts and payments linked to the period after the death of longtime supervisor Frank Zucker in 2022. Henyard, who made history in 2021 as the youngest and first female mayor of Thoron Township, initially sparked optimism during her time as supervisor of Florin Township. However, that optimism quickly faded as her leadership became marred by contentious decisions, public outrage, and relentless criticism. The core of the scrutiny lies in persistent accusations that Henyard has misused public resources for personal gain. These claims have intensified with reports of extravagant spending, including a highly questionable 5-day trip to Austin, Texas, in July 2023. Henyard was accompanied by her assistant, Keith Freeman, and 3 other township officials, with the trip costing Dalton taxpayers over $220,000. Expenses included a $1,600 stay at the upscale Fairmont Austin Hotel, a $389 dinner at Ruth's Chris Steakhouse, $413 worth of purchases at Walgreens, and $53 spent on sports and riding apparel. Despite these significant expenditures, Henyard's office has provided no clear explanation for the trip, offering only vague acknowledgements that it occurred. This lack of transparency has provoked sharp criticism, particularly as Dalton grapples with growing financial difficulties, including a multi-million-dollar debt. Many residents argue that leadership should focus on addressing the community's economic struggles rather than indulging in personal luxuries. Adding fuel to the fire, Henyard has also been accused of spending taxpayer dollars on personal indulgences, such as hiring a personal hairstylist. These actions have enraged both residents and public officials, with local trustee Jason House condemning Henyard's priorities. House called her actions a clear example of misplaced priorities, particularly in a community facing financial hardship. The mounting evidence of Henyard's lavish spending, combined with her apparent disregard for fiscal responsibility, has further fueled public frustration and cast a dark cloud over her leadership. Critics argue that her actions reflect a self-serving agenda that is increasingly disconnected from the struggles of the community. Many now view her behavior as emblematic of a leader who is out of touch with the needs of those she was elected to serve. As the controversy surrounding her alleged misuse of taxpayer funds deepens, serious questions have been raised about Henyard's commitment to ethical governance and the welfare of Dalton's residents. The ongoing scandal has put her political career at serious risk, with mounting calls for an investigation into her leadership and spending practices. Public confidence in her ability to effectively serve the community has sharply diminished, and her actions continue to dominate political discourse, fueling widespread outrage among her constituents. As the pressure mounts, Henyard faces the difficult task of addressing the allegations against her and justifying her decisions. Whether she can weather the storm and regain public trust remains uncertain. However, the saga of her leadership stands as a cautionary tale about how allegations of corruption and fiscal mismanagement can quickly erode even the most promising political careers. Henyard now finds herself confronting the fallout from her actions, with the challenge of rebuilding her reputation amid growing public disillusionment.
You deserve nothing less than a government that is fully accountable, responsive, transparent, and effective stewards of your precious.
As public dissatisfaction with Mayor Tiffany Henyard's handling of Dalton's finances and her controversial expenditures grew, local trustee Jason House recognized the urgent need for change. The community's frustration over Henyard's alleged reckless use of taxpayer funds intensified as she continued to make questionable financial decisions and indulge in expensive personal expenses. In response to mounting discontent, House decided to run for mayor in 2025. His candidacy is driven by a strong desire to restore responsibility, integrity, and transparency to the office. A dedicated public servant with a deep understanding of the village's needs, House has promised to tackle the issues that have plagued Dalton under Henyard's leadership, including the growing multi-million-dollar debt and the lack of accountability in local government. House's campaign has become a beacon of hope for residents seeking responsible leadership, particularly those eager for a leader who prioritizes fiscal discipline and ethical governance. As the 2025 election approaches, House is positioning himself as the candidate capable of leading Dalton toward a brighter, more prosperous future. His message of reform is resonating with voters, many of whom feel increasingly disillusioned with Henyard's leadership. House is offering himself as an alternative, someone who can restore financial stability and bring transparent, accountable governance to the village. Announcing his candidacy, House declared, "I'm running for mayor because Dalton deserves better." Under Mayor Henyard, the village has faced escalating difficulties, from unresolved licensing issues that led to the closure of several businesses to a lack of financial oversight. One example is Lawrence Tour Trucking, which has been unable to operate since January 2023 after being accused of selling alcohol at a private event without a license. A judge ruled in the company's favor, suggesting there may be more to the story. Furthermore, shortly after Henyard took office, local business owners were reportedly pressured to donate $3,500 to the village, raising concerns about potential conflicts of interest. Despite the FBI's refusal to confirm any investigation into Henyard, her leadership has been under intense scrutiny, particularly from trustee Kiana Beer, who has criticized the financial management during Henyard's tenure. Beer claims she has been in discussions with Henyard about these issues for months, to no avail. Henyard has also faced criticism for prioritizing her own safety, while Dalton's police force struggles with shortages and critical challenges. Council member Bird Odin condemned the loss of 6 police cars, which has further intensified concerns about the village's safety and security. These issues have been compounded by Henyard's critics, accusing the media of focusing solely on the negative aspects of her leadership. A demonstration calling for Henyard's resignation and a full investigation into her spending practices saw dozens of residents gathering to voice their frustration. Henyard has vehemently denied any wrongdoing, but many residents are upset by her complete control over the village's budget, which has prevented other local officials from approving expenditures. This centralization of power has given Henyard unchecked authority over Dalton's finances, raising concerns about accountability and transparency. In March 2024, Henyard was charged with embezzling $67,000 in public funds, allegedly used for personal trips. While she presented receipts to defend her actions, she has failed to fully address concerns about the misuse of taxpayer dollars. Her refusal to take responsibility for questionable expenditures, coupled with a lack of transparency surrounding her financial decisions, has further eroded public trust. The controversy reached new heights during the Take Back Our Township march, where local residents called for Henyard's resignation and demanded a full investigation into her spending practices. The village board has since called for a comprehensive inquiry into her actions, acknowledging a reported $2 million deficit. However, it was later revealed that Henyard had downplayed the financial crisis, with the deficit being much worse than initially reported. The village's financial records are now under intense scrutiny, with the FBI helping to clarify the situation. At a board meeting, Henyard dismissed the accusations against her, claiming they were part of a biased narrative and that she was the victim of a personal attack. However, former trustee Edward Steve pointed out that while Henyard may try to deflect blame, she will ultimately have to take responsibility for her actions. The situation took a disturbing turn when allegations emerged that a hitman, allegedly hired by someone with ties to Henyard, shot at 2 vehicles belonging to a local critic. The incident raised further concerns about Henyard's leadership and the lengths to which her supporters were willing to go to protect her. Adding to the growing list of accusations, a former assistant of Henyard came forward, claiming she had been harassed by a trustee on Henyard's board. Despite reporting the harassment to the mayor, Henyard allegedly discouraged her from speaking out, fearing it would ruin her career. The assistant eventually filed a formal complaint, but was placed on unpaid medical leave and later fired. These allegations of harassment and retaliation have only amplified the perception of a self-serving and unethical leadership style. The increasing number of scandals surrounding Henyard has alienated many members of the community, who view her actions as indicative of a leadership more focused on self-interest than the needs of Dalton's residents. Accusations of corruption, financial mismanagement, and stifling
Today, I'm here to proudly announce my candidacy for mayor of Dalton in February.
A significant controversy surrounding Mayor Tiffany Henyard involves her former maintenance manager, Dwayne Thrash, who filed a lawsuit against the mayor after being terminated while on vacation. Thrash claims his firing was in retaliation for refusing to participate in a questionable scheme allegedly orchestrated by Henyard and her assistant, Keith Freeman. The plan reportedly involved dismissing the current village lawyer and replacing them with a law firm preferred by Freeman. This accusation adds to the growing list of misconduct allegations against Henyard and underscores ongoing tensions within her administration. Thrash's claims have attracted significant public attention, especially as they align with broader criticisms of Henyard's leadership style. Many have described her approach as autocratic and dismissive of opposition. These tensions are also evident in her handling of public meetings, which have become increasingly contentious. Local residents have expressed frustration with her interactions, which often reflect a top-down approach that disregards public input, further alienating the community. One particularly controversial public address saw Henyard making it clear that she would not tolerate dissent, stating, "I'm about to address some things, there will be no comments." This statement came despite the cancellation of a special meeting of the Thorne Township trustees, where all 5 current trustees were notably absent. Henyard pressed ahead with her speech, further emphasizing her unilateral approach. "If you don't want to hear what I'm saying, you can leave. This is just me telling you what's happening. If you don't want to hear it, you can go." Her confrontational tone and refusal to engage with criticism encapsulate a leadership style that many view as dismissive and uncompromising, fueling frustration among both constituents and officials alike. These public interactions reflect a broader pattern of Henyard prioritizing her own agenda over collaborative governance. Critics argue that her leadership lacks the transparency and accountability necessary for effective governance, particularly in a community facing significant financial and social challenges. Her tendency to sideline opposing voices and make unilateral decisions has not only alienated residents, but has also deepened divisions within local government. The dynamics within Henyard's administration have been further complicated by allegations of favoritism and questionable decision-making. The alleged scheme involving Thrash paints a troubling picture of an administration driven by self-interest and ethical lapses. As public outrage continues to build, Henyard's handling of criticism and dissent has become a focal point of controversy. Her confrontational approach raises serious questions about her ability to effectively navigate the complexities of public office and address the concerns of her community. This ongoing series of conflicts and allegations has left many residents questioning her leadership and the broader implications of her actions for the future of the community. Henyard's approach to disputes and criticism, marked by an apparent unwillingness to engage in meaningful dialogue or collaborative problem-solving, has become a lightning rod for discontent. The lack of transparency, accountability, and an inclusive approach to governance has hindered her ability to lead effectively and unite the community. As the controversy surrounding Henyard intensifies, her ability to reconcile with her critics and rebuild trust with her constituents remains uncertain. Her confrontational style not only reflects the challenges she faces as a leader, but also exacerbates them, making it difficult for her to address the broader issues facing the community. The growing mistrust and discontent among residents highlight the need for a more transparent, accountable, and inclusive leadership approach, qualities many believe Henyard has yet to demonstrate during her tenure.
Because it's not true. It's only one-sided, and it's a shame that the media comes out and they only show.
Tiffany Henyard's increasingly casual and controversial approach to her role as mayor has sparked widespread criticism, particularly following an incident at a recent board meeting where she appeared dressed as Nino Brown, a character from the film New Jack City. Many viewed this attire as unprofessional and dismissive of her responsibilities, raising serious concerns about her commitment to her duties as a public servant. Critics, including Chan and Durr, argue that Henyard's behavior trivializes politics, turning serious governance into a spectacle and eroding public trust. This incident is just one example of a broader pattern of alleged misconduct and ethical lapses that have characterized Henyard's tenure. During the same board meeting, a trustee openly condemned Henyard for what they described as predatory and unethical behavior, particularly during her time as supervisor of Thoron Township. Additionally, Carmen, the mayor of Dalton, accused Henyard of exploiting residents, employees, and vendors to increase her own power and influence, all while presenting a false narrative of success funded by taxpayer dollars. This accusation has further deepened public mistrust, raising serious concerns about the integrity of local governance under Henyard's leadership. These incidents have severely tarnished Henyard's reputation, with many questioning her fitness for office. Critics argue that her leadership style prioritizes personal gain and image over the welfare of the community. The controversies surrounding her are not new. They began in 2019 when CBS Chicago revealed significant issues with a rental property Henyard owned. She had been receiving Section 8 housing subsidies for the property, despite numerous unresolved problems, including severe mold and water leakage. According to reports, the conditions became so dire that mold was reportedly growing on tenants' belongings, including her daughter's shoes. By November 2019, the property was deemed uninhabitable, leading to the tenant's eviction. However, Henyard allegedly continued to collect Section 8 payments for the property without addressing the extent of the issues, sparking outrage among community members. Many felt that Henyard prioritized financial gain over providing safe, habitable living conditions for her tenants. Investigations into the property revealed troubling lapses in inspection procedures, further fueling public condemnation and turning the property scandal into a flashpoint for broader concerns about Henyard's ethics and leadership. The fallout from these revelations only added to an already contentious environment. Mayor Carmen admitted that she had previously been complicit in overspending on lavish projects, but claimed that she and other trustees had since implemented stricter policies on special event spending and credit card use to prevent further misuse of funds. Despite these corrective measures, Henyard's perceived failures continued to dominate public discourse, overshadowing efforts to restore accountability and fiscal discipline. Critics argue that Henyard's tenure has not only diminished the credibility of local government, but also highlighted the importance of ethical leadership, transparency, and prioritizing community welfare over personal ambition. Her alleged misconduct, ranging from unprofessional behaviour at board meetings to her handling of taxpayer funds and the Section 8 property scandal, paints a concerning picture of a leader who seems increasingly out of touch with the demands of public service. These allegations, coupled with her apparent disregard for the principles of good governance, have eroded public confidence and left many questioning her commitment to her role as a public servant. As these issues continue to unfold, the controversy surrounding Henyard serves as a stark reminder of the need for accountability and integrity in leadership, qualities essential to the health and trustworthiness of local government institutions. The absence of these qualities has significantly hindered Henyard's ability to lead effectively.
They said no, or they had something else to do but Andrew. Miles didn't say that if he's done doing whatever he was doing, he'll catch up with it. Okay, so fine, but I at least knew I got a man with me, I'm going to make it home. I ain't even got to worry about try to go on the street by myself. I legitimately thought that,
Tiffany Henyard's political career took a dramatic turn in October 2020 when she began publicly criticising the tenure and policies of Mayor Riley Rogers. Her critiques quickly gained attention as her contentious history came to light, but they did not hinder her political rise. Henyard successfully unseated Rogers in a fiercely contested four-way Democratic primary, securing her nomination and ultimately winning the general mayoral election with 82% of the vote, defeating challenger Ronnie Burge. Initially celebrated for breaking barriers as the first black woman to serve as mayor, Henyard's historic achievement was widely praised and earned her significant community support. However, over time, her tenure became increasingly marked by controversy and accusations of misconduct. While she initially garnered respect for her trailblazing role, her leadership style soon came under scrutiny. Henyard frequently invoked her identity as a defense against criticism. In one particularly heated board meeting in February, she shouted at trustees, "You all should be ashamed of yourselves for attacking a black woman in power." Many saw this as a deflection from the substance of the concerns raised, exemplifying a pattern of Henyard focusing on her race and gender rather than addressing the legitimate issues at hand. Critics argued that her tendency to divert attention away from key concerns only created further friction and undermined her credibility. Though there was initial cooperation between Henyard and the Village Board of Trustees, including Village Clerk Ken Allison and Trustee Jason House, tensions quickly escalated. The board, once working collaboratively with the mayor, soon accused her of financial mismanagement, leading to intense public scrutiny. By April 2022, the situation reached a breaking point when the village board filed a lawsuit against Henyard, alleging that she had misused municipal funds. This legal battle marked the collapse of what had once been a productive working relationship, with trustees now united in opposition, accusing Henyard of corruption and the improper use of taxpayer dollars. These allegations severely damaged Henyard's reputation. In response, she cast herself as a victim, claiming that the trustees were conspiring against her. She escalated the conflict by barring trustees from accessing their offices, disseminating confidential documents in public spaces, and interfering in their personal lives. These actions, seen as inflammatory and counterproductive, created chaos and deepened the animosity between Henyard and the board. Board meetings became increasingly hostile and unproductive, often devolving into prolonged confrontations. Trustees presented mounting evidence of financial wrongdoing, but Henyard steadfastly denied the allegations and refused to take responsibility or engage in constructive dialogue, further alienating herself from both the board and the public. The ongoing conflict disrupted the functioning of local government, leaving many residents frustrated and disillusioned with the leadership impasse. Henyard's repeated attempts to deflect criticism by accusing her detractors of orchestrating attacks against her only fueled the perception that she was unwilling or unable to address legitimate concerns about her leadership. The lawsuit filed by the board further compounded the public scrutiny as details of alleged financial impropriety surfaced, eroding her credibility even further. Accusations that Henyard had misused municipal funds and leveraged her position for personal gain painted a troubling picture of her administration. Her attempts to portray herself as a victim of targeted attacks while interfering with trustees' duties and publicly revealing confidential information were widely criticized as unprofessional and counterproductive. Many saw these actions as an effort to deflect attention from her own alleged misconduct and shift the focus onto her supposed persecution. What began as a promising term for Henyard, marked by a groundbreaking achievement, soon gave way to a deeply polarized and fractious administration. The growing evidence of financial mismanagement and ethical lapses overshadowed her early successes, turning her tenure into a cautionary tale about the dangers of unchecked power and a refusal to engage in collaborative governance. The discord within local government became emblematic of the larger issues plaguing Henyard's leadership, highlighting her inability to address criticism constructively and her reliance on combative, deflective tactics. This created an atmosphere of distrust and dysfunction, undermining the effectiveness of the village administration. As Henyard continued to portray herself as a victim, many viewed her actions as a deliberate attempt to cling to power and avoid accountability. Turning board meetings into battlegrounds and disregarding the principles of transparency and cooperation, Henyard alienated both colleagues.
Residents showed up at the meeting tonight, but only 42 residents were allowed inside. They had to walk through metal detectors and
Tiffany Henyard's tenure as a public official has become increasingly controversial, with growing outrage and accusations of corruption overshadowing her leadership. Community members have expressed heartbreak and anger over what they perceive as the misuse of taxpayer dollars under her administration. One local resident shared their distress with Fox 32, saying, "I'm heartbroken that this woman entered our town and used all of our tax dollars." This sentiment reflects broader frustration, particularly among elderly residents who struggle to afford basic necessities due to neglected community needs. During a public meeting, residents voiced their disillusionment, with one stating, "I suspected it all along." Let us know your thoughts in the comments below and be sure to subscribe for the latest updates. Thanks for watching.